A very good afternoon to all of you. I am Dr. Rajshekhar Naik and I have with me Dr. Vasant. We are both going to talk about obesity. This is the 13th episode of Patient Awareness Talks held by Gunshila Hospital to educate patients about the various aspects of infertility. So, the commonest question that arises is, does obesity have an impact on fertility? Now, there is a lot of medical knowledge that has been accumulated, and severe obesity does affect fertility both for men and women. Today, we'll be mainly concentrating on the effect of extreme obesity on women, how it affects their fertility, and what are the negative effects of fertility negative effects of obesity on fertility and pregnancy. So, Dr. Vasant, now how do we define obesity? People talk about muscle weight and bone weight and various other terminology. So, what exactly is obesity?
Good afternoon. Obesity is excess body fat. That is obesity, and obesity is being classified into mild obesity and severe obesity. Uh, there are so many scales to measure percent body fat.
What is the commonest way of measuring obesity?
Uh, Commonest is body mass index. That's what we use, and the other one is waist circumference. And in body mass index, what is body mass index? Body mass index is weight divided by height in meter square. So the normal BMI, if my BMI is between 18 to 23, that means I come under normal BMI. If the BMI is between 23 and 27, they come under overweight. If it is between 27 and 32.5, it is mild obesity, and between 32.5 to 37.5, it is severe obesity, and more than 37.5 is morbid obesity.
So, what exactly is this morbid obesity? Why do you call it morbid? It sounds a little scary. So, why do we call it morbid obesity?
Uh, this is the point where the health issues come if the BMI is more than 37.5. That's why in Western population, if the BMI is more than 40, they come under morbid obesity. But in Asians, if it is more than 37.5, we call them as morbid obesity, because most of the health issues like cardiovascular, like mainly the heart, the stroke, the health risks are more once they cross this BMI.
Now, this obesity is a very difficult problem that we understand. Now, we have seen people who are, eat a lot, but they still don't put on weight.
Yes.
But there are some other people who say that I eat so little, I am dieting all the time, but I still put on weight. Now, they feel it is very unfair that they keep on putting on weight, where somebody else in the same family, whether brothers or sisters or cousins or friends, they see people eating large amounts of food, but they don't put on weight, and the person who puts on weight feel it's very unfair. Now, why should this happen?
Yeah. Most common cause for this obesity is the poor lifestyle. Nowadays we see more of sedentary jobs with lack of exercise. That is the most common cause for that we see routinely, and of course the genetics play a small role.
Yeah.
But poor lifestyle and lack of exercise, that's what we feel the most common cause.
And another component is how a person's metabolism is, and that metabolism of that person is controlled genetically.
Yes.
So that plays also a very important role. Now, these genes, we can inherit those genes. Suppose our parents are obese, we can inherit those genes, and the once the genes are there, the metabolism is controlled in such a way that whatever little we eat gets deposited as fat.
Yes.
And if somebody doesn't have those set of genes, or if he has those set of genes and they are not active, then however much they eat, their metabolism is such a way that they burn the calories. So purely eating is not the reason, but it is one of the most important reasons of putting on weight. Because if you don't eat, you don't have calories, you won't put on weight. But in addition to that, your genetic makeup as well as your lifestyle. Now, what we have seen in the recent few generations is that the lifestyle has significantly changed. We hardly walk. we don't use the stairs. We always use the lift. And so the physical exercise, which was, let us say, a few decades ago, which was routine, walking to work, walking to the fields, or walking, in and out, which was routine, has now completely stopped for various reasons.
Yes.
So that physical exercise, which was burning the calories, now is absent.
Yes.
So whatever little they eat, they put on weight, and particularly the people who have got those set of genes which will predispose them to put on weight, they put on weight. So it is a combination of things. It's not one single cause why certain people put on weight and certain people don't. It's a combination of genetics, lifestyle, and of course their diet.
Yes.
So now we need to know how does this obesity harm somebody's health? What does it do actually? This excess fat in the body.
Obesity now it is considered as a disease. We may see obese patients, but they'll be very active. They'll look normal. They do all sorts of exercise. They'll be in sports. But once they crosses 37.5 BMI, then the health risk is accompanied significant. The most common health risk involved is type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and because of these two they have more chance of heart problem and stroke. And because of weight they get this body aches, especially the knee joint, and sometimes difficulty in breathing because of sleep apnea.
The obesity actually affects all parts of the body. Obese people tend to be sometimes depressed because they can't fit into certain clothes or they can't perform certain activities. And you have the effects on their breathing because they find it difficult to breathe. They snore a lot. Then you have, as you come down, you have the heart, which has to pump so much extra to all parts of the body. And then you have blood pressure. And then you come down to the pancreas, which produces maximum amount of insulin. But once that maximum amount of insulin in the body is not able to control the sugars, you have diabetes. And then as you come down, you can have musculoskeletal problems. That is, you can have backache, you can have arthritis of the joints, and then you can have, gait problems. And then you have infertility. It also affects the female and male fertility organs. So now what we are going to do is we are going to talk about the ill effects. And please remember, what I'm talking about is extreme obesity, not somebody who is overweight by 5 or 10 kilos. What I'm talking about is morbid obesity, where the BMI is more than 37.5, or if the person is 30 kgs more than their ideal weight. So these are the category of patients we are talking about. So please don't confuse this with simple obesity. So it's very, very clear to make that distinction. So now let us talk about how the obesity or the excess fat in the body causes infertility and how that can be reversed. So what do you think actually happens when somebody is excessively fat and they don't get pregnant for a while? Now, what exactly is the biochemical or the hormonal imbalances? Can you just talk about a little bit about that, Dr. Vasan?
Because of excess fat in the body, there will be hormonal changes. So because of this, most of these morbidly obese women will have polycystic ovaries and acne, abnormal facial hair growth. Along with this, their menstrual periods will be irregular, and the oocyte, mainly the egg, what we call the egg, is not released regularly. And even if the egg is released, the fertilization, that means fertilization from the sperm with the egg, doesn't happen normally. And even if it happens, the quality of the embryo won't be good. So all these multiple factors will lead to infertility.
Yeah. When we talk about the hormonal imbalance, both men and women have the male hormone, which is called the testosterone, and the female hormone called the estrogen. Now, the proportion of these hormones are different. For example, in a male, we have a higher level of testosterone and a lower level of estrogen. In the female, we have a higher level of estrogen, which is the female hormone, and a lower level of testosterone. Now, what happens when there is excess fat in the body? The amount of testosterone in a woman becomes very high. And as a result of that, they develop facial hair, they develop a lot of acne, and these are all completely reversible. That is the best part. So if these people lose weight, then these are completely reversible. So this hormonal imbalance that is caused by excess fat is a very reversible process, and the most important answer for that is weight loss. So let us go to the next issue. Suppose a lady is very obese, morbidly obese, and by some chance, although rare, becomes pregnant. We have seen very obese women becoming pregnant, but then suppose she becomes pregnant, are there any risks to her or the baby?
Uh, s- Very unlikely morbidly obese patient becoming pregnant with a natural conception. But in case if it happens, then she comes under a high risk category. That means she has a higher chance of getting diabetes in pregnancy, high blood pressure in pregnancy, then
With their own problems.
with
If
their
you
own
have high
problems.
blood pressure during pregnancy, that is a huge
Huge
risk.
risk.
Same with diabetes. You
Diabetes.
can have growth problems in the fetus.
Fetus.
Yeah.
Then, and most of them end up in getting a cesarean section done because of this obesity, and the child will be having our birth defects. There's more chance of having birth defects, and because of cesarean section and because of excess body fat, the chance of wound infection of the cesarean wound is high.
Yeah. So basically, what happens is during the pregnancy, the woman suffers a lot. Instead of becoming a smooth pregnancy, pregnancy is of course not a disease. So instead of it being a normal phenomena in a woman, becomes a disease with multiple hospital visits, multiple medications, frequent visits to the hospital, and overall it becomes a very difficult experience for the couple. So to be pregnant when you are very heavy is probably not a very good idea. So although the person is active physically and all that, so as the pregnancy advances, you have huge problems, and like I said, multiple hospital visits, the costs involved, it all becomes very difficult and unpleasant. So it's always better to be near normal weight when somebody becomes pregnant. Now let us look at uh, one of the treatment options is we have heard about a treatment called bariatric surgery. Now, this bariatric surgery has been around for about 4 or 5 decades, and it has come to India probably in the last 2 decades. And bariatric surgery is proven all over the world to be the most effective treatment for morbidly obese patients, not for simple obesity. I'm very clear about this. For morbidly obese patients who have exhausted all other options of losing weight, bariatric surgery has been established to be the most effective treatment in the last 2 or 3 decades, and this is proven through large number of studies and large number of patients all over the world. Now, currently, it appears to be the most effective treatment for reducing weight and also maintaining that weight loss. But I must tell you that it is a surgery. Now, what is this bariatric surgery and how does it work, Dr. Vasan?
Yeah. Bariatric surgery is a surgery performed for weight loss for a patient who is morbidly obese. So, in this surgery, the size of the stomach will be reduced. So they eat only less amount of food, which means like they'll be taking less calories, and without feeling hunger, and with less quantity of food, they feel full, and that's how they stop eating. And basically it acts as a restriction of food intake, and the calories which they take is less, is not sufficient for their body, and that's how the body uses their fat as energy, and that's how they lose weight.
Yeah. So this bariatric surgery, basically what it does is it allows people to go on a very strict diet without feeling hungry. So the stomach size is reduced or the food is diverted. There are various technical aspects of things, but that is not important now. The important thing is the concept of how it works. There are few things that happen when somebody undergoes bariatric surgery. One of the things is a restriction. The amount of food that somebody can eat is restricted. The second thing is that there is a hormonal uh, message that goes from the stomach to the brain when somebody is hungry, and the hormone levels are considerably reduced. So the feeling of hunger or craving for food is reduced considerably after bariatric surgery. And the reduction in the hunger will allow the person to feel full at a much smaller quantity of food. I would say about 20% of the food the person feels full. And if he tries to eat beyond that, it's somebody like if you try to force yourself to eat after your stomach is full, you feel nausea and then you may feel like vomiting. Similar thing happens to a person who's undergone bariatric surgery, and the person will stop eating obviously because otherwise he doesn't want to vomit out. So the person feels completely full and he doesn't want to eat anymore. Now, what then happens is that the amount of calories that are required for the person's metabolism is insufficient.
Yes.
So what happens is the body needs energy to function. The heart needs, the breathing needs, the physical activity needs energy. So the energy source will then be the person's fat. So the body will start melting the person's fat. So this is clearly different from various cosmetic procedures. We talk about liposuction or lipolysis and a whole lot of things. They are cosmetic procedures. They are only to make the person's body shape better. When you talk about bariatric surgery, it has a lot of physiological changes that happen in the body and will improve the general health of the person, not just reduce weight. So, which are these people we advise bariatric surgery, or who should undergo bariatric surgery? It's obviously not for everybody.
Yes, sir.
So, how do we select and how do we advise a person walks into the hospital and say, you are suitable for bariatric surgery, or we can offer you bariatric surgery? Now, what are these kind of patients where you would offer bariatric surgery?
As we mentioned earlier, bariatric surgery is not for simple obesity, it is for morbid obesity. So the BMI should be more than 37.5 or 32.5 and above with obesity related problems like diabetes, high blood pressure, breathing problem, or infertility. And these patients should understand the procedure well, and they should be motivated, and they should be psychologically stable, and they should not have any other abuses like alcohol or drug abuse. These are the candidates, and we advise bariatric surgery.
Yeah, one of the most important thing is the patient's motivation. The patient should feel that I need to lose weight and I'm going to listen to whatever the doctor says after bariatric surgery, because there is going to be a significant lifestyle change after this surgery. And most of these procedures are meant to be irreversible, although some of them can be reversed. Most of them are meant to be reversible, so irreversible. So it is a very, very important decision that the patient should take, and commitment is very important. So it is always nice to see patients who are committed. And how do I know they're committed? These patients would have lost 15, 20, 30 kilos of weight at some point, and they have maintained it for some time. But unfortunately, due to lifestyle or whatever reasons, they would have regained their weight. Now, these are a very good group of patients because they are willing to put in that effort and partner with the doctor in this journey of losing weight. So it's very important to have a very motivated patient. And obviously, we don't want patients who are having substance abuse, alcoholism. These are very dangerous patients because they may not like what they have undergone, and then they can get into depression and a whole lot of problems. So a detailed assessment is done of the patient, and the most important thing is the family is taken into confidence, because the family also plays a very important role in counseling, in helping the patient, in cooperating with the patient. So the family also plays a very important role in the decision making, as well as supporting the patient who's undergone bariatric surgery. So this takes a few sessions with the doctor, with the counselor, with the dietitian, before we just jump in and do surgery. It's not something that has to be done, in a hurry. And the patients are always given enough time to think about it, digest what the doctors have said, and we have frequent visits. They do back and forth. They have some doubts because then there's no going back once you have had the surgery. So it's very important that patients understand what we are going to say and the kind of lifestyle that is required. And the bariatric surgery is not the end all and everything. So the surgery is only an aid. It is like a smart tool in your hands, and how well you use that tool depends on the patient. So it's a very efficient tool, but how well you use it depends on the patient. Now, what are the types? We'll just briefly name one or two types of bariatric surgery. Now, these surgeries are all done under general anesthesia.
Yes.
And they are done with a keyhole approach. What I mean by that is we don't cut open the abdomen, we make small holes and we look on the monitor and do the surgery. So there are few types of surgery depending on the patient's comorbidities and whole lot of things. That's too technical. So what is this a major operation, Vasant? Is it a very life-threatening, scary operation?
No, it's not life threatening. It is a major surgery, but since it is done through keyhole or a laparoscopic procedure, it looks simple from outside, but inside it's a major surgery. Because of laparoscopy, we have the advantages of laparoscopy, like faster recovery. Suppose if we do surgery in the morning, evening they'll be walking around, and faster discharge from the hospital, maybe 3 days to 4 days from surgery, and there is no bed rest needed for the patient.
So the advantage of keyhole surgery, I'm sure most of the people would have read about advantages. The advantage is that compared to a large 10, 12-inch scar, they have very small scars, less than a centimeter. And the important thing is if you have the surgery in the morning, the patient can walk around in the evening because there's hardly any pain, and we've got fantastic painkillers nowadays. And with that, we can make sure that the patient is completely pain-free. There is no bed rest as any other major surgery is required because of the advantages of the keyhole or the laparoscopic approach. And there are no huge scars on the abdomen. And basically what we do is we may either take out a piece of the stomach which is inside the abdomen or divert the food, and there are various technical aspects, and when you meet your doctor you can discuss those details. Now coming to pregnancy and bariatric surgery. Now, how does actually weight loss? We have discussed how excess fat will affect fertility. Now, how do you reverse those? How does it actually help a woman wanting to conceive?
So, when they are morbidly obese, that is, if they have excess body fat, there will be hormonal imbalance. So, the negative effects of obesity after surgery, and once they start losing weight, all these hormonal imbalances reverses, and the ovulation, that means egg release, will happen normally. Their periods becomes regular, and they have more chance of getting natural pregnancy, and the pregnancy course will be smooth, and they have more chance of normal delivery.
Yeah, there are significant advantages of bariatric surgery for somebody who is morbidly obese and wants to try for a pregnancy. Both the chances of pregnancy, natural conception, provided the husband is normal, and the pregnancy itself and the delivery will be much smoother and less complicated for someone who's undergone bariatric surgery for morbid obesity. Now, how do you, like, if somebody has had bariatric surgery, and then is there any advice you give them for how long they must avoid pregnancy, or is there any rules that you need to follow? Are there any side effects of the bariatric surgery itself on pregnancy, Dr. Vasanth?
Yes, sir. When we counsel for bariatric surgery, we counsel them about the time, like immediately after surgery, they should not, once they start losing weight, they should not become pregnant. So they should avoid pregnancy for 12 to 18 months. That is very important, because the first 12 months they'll be losing more weight. So they should not become pregnant during that time. And once they complete 1 year, they should come and meet us so that we start some supplements. Like, important thing is folic acid and iron, and then they should try for pregnancy. And most of them will conceive naturally. And once they become pregnant, they should follow up with us as a bariatric surgeon as well as an obstetrician regularly.
Yeah, the important thing is when patients are losing weight rapidly after bariatric surgery, it is not a good idea to become pregnant, because not only the caloric reduction, there can be deficiencies of certain minerals and vitamins like iron or calcium and whole lot of things. So this 12-month or 14 months period will give us an idea as to if there are any deficiencies, and it will give us a chance to correct those deficiencies with simple tablets and capsules. So it's not a big deal. But important thing is that we want the patient's weight loss to have plateaued. That means they're not rapidly losing weight. And if they have any vitamin mineral deficiencies, those can be corrected. So that is an ideal period, would be a minimum of 12 months during which they must avoid pregnancy. And there is also an issue that sometimes even losing 10% of the weight will increase the fertility of the lady and she can become pregnant. And sometimes the oral contraceptive pills may not work in this period. So it is important that the couple use some form of barrier contraception during this period so that the wife does not become pregnant. So it's very important. We keep on telling the patients about this.
Yeah.
Now, are there any major side effects of bariatric surgery? People are scared. I'd rather go to a weight loss or a gym and all that. There are no side effects. Are there any major side effects that should worry patients who are thinking of bariatric surgery?
There are some few side effects, the immediate side effects and the long-term side effects. The immediate side effects are the complications of surgery. Any surgery has some risk and complications. So the complications might be fever, cough, urinary tract infection, clots in the legs, or bleeding during surgery or immediately after surgery, and leakage. But these complications can be identified and treated.
Yeah. The important thing is that complications are part and parcel of any surgery. whether it's a small appendicectomy or a liver transplantation. And there are general complications, which Dr. Vasant has mentioned. And specific to bariatric surgery, we have certain complications. And if the team conducting the bariatric surgery is experienced, they're knowledgeable, so they will identify these complications and treat them accordingly.
Yes.
However, the risk of complications is very, very small and probably less than 2%. That means 2 out of 100 patients may have complications. And if identified early and treated, there is no major risk to the person's life. Now, important thing is to identify the complications early and treat them. And it is also important for the doctors to discuss the possibility of these complications so that it doesn't come as a surprise in the rare event that these complications do occur. So it's very important for patients to know all these things. And we, time and again, we keep reinforcing that these are the possibilities, these can happen. So they're mentally prepared. And if the rare event that complications happen, they're mentally prepared and they don't get upset. So it's very important for us to tell them these complications. Now, long term, any other problems we have to worry about, Vasant?
Long-term complications, that means longer duration, maybe after 1 year or after 2 years. Weight regain is a possibility, and nutritional deficiencies. So that's why to prevent these two, they should follow up with us regularly, like maybe once in 3 months, single visit, once in 3 months, and we do some labs. Maybe once in 6 months or once in a year, we do mainly hemoglobin, vitamin B12 and D. If it is low, we supplement. Suppose if it is normal, we don't supplement. So regular follow-up will prevent these long-term complications like deficiencies, nutritional deficiencies, and weight regain.
Yeah. And so we have had a experience of treating morbidly obese women who came to our Gunshila hospital with infertility. And we have done bariatric surgery for these patients. And we have an experience of treating over 28 patients of the several hundred bariatric operations we have done. These are patients with morbid obesity and infertility. So they came with two problems. And when we explained to them these issues which we have discussed, some of them, 28 of them, agreed to undergo surgery. And 18 of them conceived spontaneously. Without any help. They basically came for IVF treatment, fortunately, and some of them had already failed IVF treatment. And then they underwent bariatric surgery, and 18 out of 28 conceived spontaneously. The rest are still during the 12 months waiting period, and some of them required some additional treatment after bariatric surgery to become pregnant. And all the patients had normal delivery, is what I get, because all of them didn't deliver here in our hospital. Some of them went back to their places for delivery for various reasons. So what we found out was that most of these patients have had normal delivery and they have delivered healthy babies. So let us conclude this, Dr. Vasant. I think we have gone into the detail of obesity, the causes of obesity, and why obesity happens, and what is morbid obesity, and when we advise or we suggest bariatric surgery as a treatment option. I think you pretty much discussed most of the things. And do you want to just conclude this talk and, let us wind up for it?
Yes. Now, morbid obesity is a disease. It is considered as a disease. Weight loss after bariatric surgery reverses all the negative effects, whatever has obesity, that is excess body fat, has caused. And pregnancy should be delayed 12 months after bariatric surgery. And what we have seen is pregnancy is safe for the mother as well as child.
I think we have probably covered most of the issues about bariatric surgery, about obesity and pregnancy. If you do have any questions, please reach out to us. We'll be very happy to answer these questions. I hope this session was useful in creating awareness about the connection between extreme obesity and infertility. And it is very important for anybody trying for a pregnancy to know that obesity does affect fertility, not only natural pregnancy, but also if you are contemplating going for IVF or any assisted reproduction. It is important for you to know that weight loss, if you are extremely obese, is very, very important. Whether you are a candidate for bariatric surgery or not is something that you can discuss with your doctor. And especially if you are planning for IVF, where you're going to spend a lot of money, and if weight loss is going to help you both in your fertility as well as your general health, why not? Please consider that and talk to your doctor. Thank you.